Hey, friend.
What's up?
I don't know it. You know, just here, back again for the third episode of Dub Square Podcast.
Back like we never left. What's up, good people?
Because we didn't. All right, we're not going. Okay, first housekeeping here. We're gonna try our best to stay focused this week. Um, we appreciate you guys' feedback that you've been giving us, and we're gonna incorporate that into each episode that comes. Um, But yeah, and speaking of feedback, just want to thank you guys for all of the feedback that we receive. We appreciate all the love that we're getting in our iMessage, in our email, and social media,
In them
uh,
DMs. Sliding up in
and
them DMs.
in the DMs. So thank y'all for all of that. We appreciate the love, and it really, we're gonna keep doing this, but that definitely gives us a bit more drive to keep going.
That gives us that
Um,
boost that we need.
for sure. Just wanted to recap a little bit from last week in case you missed that. I think the biggest thing from that episode is Trina found out how mustard was made. We went to a bit of a rabbit hole there, but that's just typical. But if you're interested in mustard, then it was right up your alley. If not, then I mean maybe you're more of a ketchup person. I don't know. But that was the biggest thing. We also touched on the Gail King
If
Snoop
mustard
Dogg.
isn't your if mustard isn't your thing, you need to catch up. But no.
So So we talked about the Gail King Snoop Dogg incident, um, and we just touched on it briefly there. But hey, if you haven't listened to episode 2, please go back and listen to that. I had a bit of information in the show notes. I had the clip from Snoop Dogg going in on Gail. Had linked to um, Gail's interview with Lisa Leslie, and had links to a few other things we mentioned during the episode. Um, so
Also something else that one of the things. Wait, what were we just talking about? I'm sorry, I completely lost it.
we're just talking about Gail King,
No, how
Lisa
did you
Leslie. Was
how
talking
did you
about. I was recapping from episode 2.
Oh, okay. Something else I wanted to recap. So
Mm-hmm.
as I was listening to my first time listening to the podcast is with you guys. We record, I let Reg do his thing with editing, and I listened to it while he was sitting near me. And he's smiling because you know what I'm about to say, huh?
Well, can we hold on? Because I think that's maybe your topic you want to talk about.
No,
Let me
no,
just.
this isn't my topic.
Oh
It's not
boy.
my topic.
Okay,
It's
go
just
ahead.
it's a recap.
Go ahead.
So as I'm listening, the part about the almond milk came up. And Reg said, yeah, that's about the time that I stopped listening. So recapping, Reg, how is almond milk made?
I don't know because I really didn't listen. Um, so I feel like because I think we're going to discuss friendship a whole lot on this podcast, seeing that Trina and I have been friends for so long. And one thing about friendship is like, just like any other relationship, you have to know the person that you're in that relationship with, right? So, with that being said, you have to know how to handle the person that you're in a
It's
friendship
not
or
with
relationship with.
wait.
So,
You
what
so
I've done is I've conditioned myself. I've conditioned myself to check out and then check back in. So when Trina went on that whole spiel about almond milk, what I felt, I didn't know where it was going, and just for me, sometimes you have to do some stuff for yourself. Just for me,
just for me.
I had to check out, and it's all like, it's not even something I do
Check out sounds
unconsciously.
so bad. That sounds so
Well,
bad.
well,
You just
that's
you stop listening to me,
that's what
okay?
I did.
Let's
I
just say
check out.
you
I
just
kind
stop
of go on.
listening.
I go on autopilot
That's
because
better. That sounds a little better.
I go on autopilot there just so I can, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna let Trina do her thing, and then I'll know when to come back. So that's just what that is. And apparently she didn't know I did that. So I guess I've been doing a really good job at it. Because here's the
Right.
thing: every time she thinks I'm checked out or not listening, she'll be like, "What did I just say?" And I'll tell her exactly what she just
Yeah,
said.
I
So,
definitely test you a lot.
mhm.
I
So
test you. I test you a good bit.
but anyways, Okay, moving on from that. So this week, it's a bit of a new experience for us. This is the first time that we're recording the podcast remotely. Um, I've been in Atlanta the past two episodes, and for this episode, Trina's in Atlanta and I'm in Birmingham,
I'm
and we are
Birmingham.
recording it remotely, and we're using Squadcast. Shout out to Squadcast. Um, Seem like, I mean, first impression is a great platform for recording interviews or a podcast remotely. So I guess we will see after we're done and we process everything. But saw a lot of good feedback on it. So that's the option we chose to go with. Also recommended to one of my friends who also has a podcast. So she and I will compare notes as we both use this platform. But just want to mention that this is a new experience. So, this is all of this is a new experience. Really, neither one of us have done a podcast, so all this is new to us. We're learning as we go, and I think we're doing pretty good so far. And as we go along, one thing I want to do is share a little bit of the behind the scenes with you guys, just in case anybody listening is thinking about doing a podcast. And then it can help guide you a bit. And then, of course, if you have any questions about it, you can always hit me up.
Each one
Dubsquarepod at
teach one.
gmail.com. Exactly. Each one teach one. So we're all a village here. So if you have any questions about anything that we talk about or how we do anything with this podcast, or if we ever mention any other projects that we have going on and you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But another thing about this episode is I want to provide it with some form of structure. Because we can, I mean, because this podcast is really born out of us having conversations, and we realized that we can't go with that format so much because our our conversations truly do go everywhere, and we want to keep you guys in tune. And if we really did these like our conversations go, then every episode would be like 3-4 hours, and we don't really want to do that to you guys. So we're gonna try to provide some structure. So what I have done, I've chose two topics, and I'm gonna pick one, something for us to have a conversation on, and I also asked Trina to choose two topics. So that's what we're gonna do. So Trina, you're
Okay,
up.
you go ahead.
Yes, no, we're
Nope,
not
go
doing
ahead.
that.
No,
We're not doing that. We
just go.
No, nope.
Yes, just go. You're not gonna listen to what I say anyway. You're gonna go on autopilot.
I'm gonna listen. So go ahead. What is your first topic that you chose? Or you can tell me both,
Okay.
then I can
Yeah,
choose
let's do it.
one.
Okay. So my first topic is being rewarded for being bullied.
Hmm.
And my second topic was dang, I don't even remember what it was. Um dang. Let's just go with what can I do to be a better friend?
Okay, that was one of mine too. So
Well,
cross
check
it
us
out.
out. Whoop,
Okay.
whoop.
All right. So
One mind and one accord.
yes. So all right. So go ahead and open with that. What made you choose that one?
Excuse me, about the what can I do to be a better friend?
Exactly.
Um, so I was thinking recently, I don't know, just about friendship in general
Hmm.
and more specifically our friendship. And I was thinking, you know, Reg really doesn't get on my nerves that much. You know,
Hmm.
also something that made me think about it was this Netflix movie. I can't even remember the name of it. Help me if you can remember the name of it. But like the lady was talking
Was it a
and
marriage
she
story or something like that?
that's
You
what it
talking
was.
about with the guy
Yeah.
from Star Wars? I forget his name. Kylo
Yes,
Ren from
that's it.
Star Wars. Hmm.
Hmm. So I ran across that movie, and in the preview, the lady is basically describing the guy, and she says something to the extent of um, he's able to take her moves regardless of what it is, and
Hmm.
he knows how to handle her without him getting upset or whatever. And so I
Hmm.
was like, huh, that makes me think about my friend Reggie.
Hmm.
And I just started to think, I'm like, I know that I get on his nerves sometimes. I don't think that you would really tell me just because um, you just know me and you know how to deal with the not so great parts of me. So
Hmm.
I decided that I was going to ask, what can I do to be a better friend? Because I'm always about trying to be a better person,
Hmm.
trying to be better for myself, trying to be better for my family, for my friends. So I do think that it's important to ask those questions sometimes because you won't know. You can't always go off of assumptions. You can't always go off of I'm doing a great job of supporting this person or whatever it may be. So I think it's good to ask.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of us get stuck in our ways, and we expect that since people accept us as who we are, then we don't need to make any improvements. But I feel like what you need to do is put yourself on that and on the outside of the entire relationship, number one, and then also put yourself in that person's shoes.
Mhm.
And if, as I think, and I mean, oddly enough, friendship has been on my mind a lot here lately. I think maybe just because of the conversation we had, number one, and then just um, things shifting in my life and maybe not speaking to people as much as I used to, and things changing in friendships also has had that on my mind a lot.
Mhm.
But as I started to, years ago when I started to work on myself a bit and get into therapy and really try to work through some things in my life, I started to see how my actions were really affecting folks. And you do have to take inventory and with yourself, and then also check in with folks. Um, one thing that stood out to me is when I was dealing with something one time. One of my friends was like, how can I support you in this, rather than assuming. You just feel like, okay, well, maybe they need me to do this. Maybe they need me to just listen. Maybe they need me to come over. No, one better thing is like, hey, how can I support you in this? Sometimes they'll have answers, sometimes they won't. And if they don't have an answer, then just, be there. Just let them know, hey, I'm here for you if you need to talk. And we don't have anything to talk about. We don't have to talk about what you're dealing with. We can just talk. Sometimes they'll say nothing you can do, and don't take offense to that. It's just nothing that you can do for them in that moment.
Right.
But
And
yeah.
that's actually something that that you do, that I notice that you do, is
Mm-hmm.
you will ask that question, what can I do to support you? And you also ask, if we happen to have a disagreement. Surprise, people, we have disagreements sometimes. I know it's hard to believe, but what you'll do is you will ask, what can you do to fix it? Or,
Mm-hmm.
like I think we do a much better job of communicating now than what we may have done in the past, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
great for friendships.
Yeah, yeah. Communication is important, and we definitely do a better job. And you know, and then even when we do have arguments and we have a falling out, I'd say it's a lot. It's like I'm good with it. Like I was let me start over. I was thought I'm good with it because I hate having disagreements with you. But it's like you just know, like okay, we'll be cool. I'm gonna say this. I said that. We'll be all right. Because we
Meanwhile,
had
I'm
some.
meanwhile I'm over here just super upset. Oh, he done made me so mad. And you have told me that. Oh, Trina, I know you'll get over it, so I don't even care.
I mean,
And I've actually started to think about that too. Whenever I'm mad, I'm like, whatever. He said he's gonna say I'm gonna get over it, and I am gonna get over it. It's not even that serious.
yeah,
So
just have to work through it, and people need their time. And like, even when I get upset about things, like even in that moment, even though I'm upset, I'm pissed, I'm cursing or whatever I'm doing. It's like even in that moment, it's like, okay, well, this is just my process right now. And so, you know, I take that time, and then some minutes, hours pass, and then it's cool. And I think just that's something that happens in relationships and in life. Things aren't always going to be great, but the thing is, like, how do you work through those things? How do you keep everything level in the end? You don't want things to fester, so people have to express themselves sometimes. And I feel like through communicating, you learn how to express yourself with those individual folks, because like we mentioned last week on the podcast, just because you're dealing with something, you're upset, you're grieving, or whatever, just angry for whatever reason, that doesn't give you free reign to just say and do what you want. without any type of repercussions. So, and that's something I worked on throughout the years because you know, I mean, definitely full transparency, was definitely a very toxic person in the past, and sometimes I aim not to be now. And anytime I see anything that resembles that remotely, um, it's a fail for me. So that's something that I've had to work through recently. So yeah, I mean, I guess communication is key. Um, Asking people how you can support them, and not taking friendships for granted, because we can take things a bit too seriously sometimes, and friendship can be lost, and not to say that isn't always that isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes people just they drift apart, and
Yeah.
that friendship has run its course. But um,
Friend,
there
you
are.
think you're gonna stop being friends ever?
I don't think so. I think the dynamic of our friendship might change, but as far as us stop being friends, no.
Yeah, I agree.
Somebody might want to choose your boy. Stop. Might choose your boy. I be focusing on my wife. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, that's
Okay,
another topic for another conversation. But
I know that
nah,
that'd be a good topic.
yeah, but no, I don't think we ever stop being friends. Especially I feel like friendships that begin a little bit later in life. As far as when I say a little bit later, I mean like an adulthood, rather than during college and stuff like that. Like us reconnecting after college, and
Mhm.
you know us reconnecting at a time where I know who I am a bit more than I did before. I think all that comes into play. So
You still gonna
nah,
be forever.
I mean, that's how I see it. You know what I mean? And anybody, if I do meet somebody, start dating them, like they know who Trina is. Trina may not know them because that's like a that's like a level you gotta get to. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like,
I'm like in the video game world. I'm like the
yeah,
bosses that you got.
you
I'm one
gotta
of the
get there.
bosses, the hard level.
So not everybody's mean Trina. Like that's just how it is. There's no point. Your name may not be uttered around Trina. It's just one of those things. Like it's kind of like you want to make sure. Okay, this person's gonna be around for a bit. Like this, I'm not even gonna. Let's not even try to indoctrinate you into this whole crew until
Mhm.
we know you're gonna be around.
Yes.
And I'm not playing. That's definitely serious. I'm laughing, but I'm not playing. Um, but yeah, man. You just have those friends. Like y'all gonna be friends. Like I talk to you every day, but then I have other friends I only talk to a few times a year. But if they call me, boom, I'm there. Yeah, I start. If I'm dating somebody, they'll hear their name come up because we're close. They hear Shiraz's name. They hear Helen's name. Just a few friends that they'll know about. So um, yeah. But just to get back to how this topic even started, like definitely check in with your people. Um, Ask them how you can support them in their time of need, and then try to improve the communication between you two, because we're all running our own races.
Mhm.
So we're all dealing with our own things. So you need to check in with your people, and you need to make sure that you're communicating effectively with them, because it's
So
just
why did oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
uh,
No, I was
what's
gonna
up?
ask why did you choose this topic?
Why did I choose it? Like I said, I've been it's been on my mind. So like I said, we actually had this conversation. You wanted to know what you could do better as a friend, and then you want to know what you could do better just as a person.
Mhm.
And that's just simply taking inventory. And that's something we all need to do at some point in time. I mean, you can even set a schedule. You can do it on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis.
True, that's
Just
true.
check in with yourself and see like, hey, what can I do to support those that support me? And I think that's lost on a lot of us, because especially with family, because family's supposed to be there, family this, family that. But no, we all need to check in, and like, and I know it's not, and I don't say any of this to like gloss over and make it sound like it's something that's simple, because
Right, for sure.
we can go down that road all day
They
and talk
were.
about generational things, and nature versus nurture, and throw out a few other terms there, insert terms here that could affect the way that you communicate with family and friends. But I guess first is to make sure you're doing the work on
Mhm.
you first, and as you grow, try to help
Help other
others
people.
grow if you can, or at least grow in those relationships, and prayerfully, you'll help your people grow by doing that. But yeah, that's why. That's definitely one of the reasons why I chose that. With us having that conversation the other day, and then just me thinking on it. Some, like I said, friendships changing, um, and not to say friend, it's some good and some bad in there. But some of it is just people's lives changing. And as
Yeah.
people's lives change, then, their relationships might change. So, and that's something I've learned to deal with. Like, I don't take offense to it. Like, if I stop talking to somebody because, let's say they're in a committed relationship. So I understand that that's their focus. And nobody shut me out or anything like that. It's just like, okay, boom, they got this to work on over here. So we all have our certain amount of bandwidth or attention that we can give to things, and just got to understand that people, like I said, people running their own races, they got to deal with all types of things in their lives. So just because maybe less time is allocated to your friendship doesn't mean that person cares less about you. It's
Mhm.
just that's just the nature of what's going on at the time.
Yeah.
But
Also
yeah.
related to this, one of my things is I'm gonna say I have a fear of doing this as well, but I just don't want to be toxic in anyone's life because
Hmm.
people put up with enough as it is in their everyday lives, and the last thing that we all want is to have someone toxic around us,
Yeah.
Which is why another reason why I wanted to ask that question, especially the part about being better as a person in general.
Hmm.
But friend, so now that we've talked about the topic,
Hmm.
how can I be a better friend?
I mean, we discussed all this. Like,
I didn't
we
know if you.
discussed all this off
I
air.
wanted to know if you were gonna say
We
anything.
discussed this off air. Just everything that we talked about. Do that.
Yeah,
There you go.
I'm gonna tell y'all one of the things he said. He told me
Shut up.
told me that he wished that I would put my lotion on before I leave the house.
Facts. Real facts.
Okay, so I like to save time. I'm a time saver, but Reggie is not. Reggie is I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this and get it done before I do whatever. So since I'm a time saver, yeah, he's making faces right now. But
I'm
since I'm a
saying, like,
time saver,
as you
I
say this out
like,
loud, I hope you're hearing it. Just like, go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, I think that's accurate.
Hmm.
I think that I'll do small things like put my earrings on in the car or put my like the right shoes, like slide on some slides and put on the correct shoes while I'm going down the road or something like that, or when I get to where I'm going to save
Hmm.
time. I don't think that you do that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I'll do something like put lotion on when I get in the car, and that is something that he absolutely hates. He hates for me to put lotion on in the car.
Hmm.
And that was one of the things, like, I was not expecting him to say that. I was expecting him to give me a real deep response. But when he said, I really want you to put your lotion on before you leave the house.
It's all connected. It's all connected for sure.
Yeah, I agree, but I thought that was funny. So, friend, I've been putting my lotion on. I haven't left the house much actually in the last few days, but
Well, that's
I've been
that's
putting
when
my
we'll
lotion on.
that's when we'll see. That's gonna be the true test when you start going out here, and when you're actually getting in the car and going somewhere. Will you put that lotion on before you go out? But yeah, and there were other things, y'all. Don't
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was just smaller.
That was just one that was funny. So I
That's
wanted
one
to
of the
share that. Yeah,
smaller things. But yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
So now you tell me your other topic.
yeah, because you took that one from me. Well, the other one was surrounding friendship also. Um,
Okay.
it was about, can men and women be friends? And when we say be friends, we mean platonic. And this came from one of my friends was visiting, and she was watching. I don't know if she was on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, but when you start watching those videos on Facebook or Instagram, you kind of get into a bit of a hole. But this video popped up, of Dr. Steve Harvey.
Doctor Steve. Is he a doctor now? Like,
Dr.
is it?
Steve, he's not.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think he received the honorary from anywhere. But anyways, yeah, he's the chief love officer and all that. You know what I mean? But it was a video of this girl. She was so the situation was that her and her best friend. So she had a best friend, male best friend, right? And she had never looked at him like anything other than a friend. She was cool with him and his ex-girlfriend or whatnot. And then, he and the ex broke up. Obviously, she's the ex. And somewhere along the line, they started dating. And she wanted to know if she should feel bad about dating the guy because she had been friends with the ex. So, and that's not even like even that we can just forget that question because I don't feel like he even addressed that at all. What he said is, and this is how he started, if I'm
It was
not
more focused
mistaken.
on what he said.
Yeah, I'm more focused on what he said, and this
Okay.
just kind of this made me want to have this conversation.
Okay.
But first of all, he was looking at a real stupid. Like, are you serious? Like, and I'm gonna put a link to it in the show notes, of course. So please check that out. But he was looking at a real dumb like, and then he said this. Why you think we your friend? That's what he said. Why you
I
think we
swear.
your friend? And he said, whenever we as men are friends with a woman, we're like vultures and we're circling. This is what he said. I quote him on this.
Bad
We're like
intentions always.
vultures and we're circling. Do you know what a vulture is? When do you see vultures circling?
Over dead animals, right?
Yeah. So
They can also grab up small puppies and cats, but that's neither here nor there.
we're circling, waiting on something to die, basically.
Yeah.
Meaning, in this case, a relationship. And that's just, to me, just ridiculous. And I have spoken to at least one other friend about this. I don't know if I spoke to more than one other friends, but I do remember speaking to one of my friends. And here's the thing: don't get me wrong, because I know in some situations, oh yeah, there's some guys out there circling. Because that was
For
the
sure.
issue with my friend. She said, "Well, I've had more than one situation like that," and I get that. And this is not me saying that. Oh, okay, this never happens. It's more of Steve Harvey saying like, "This is what it is." Period.
Yeah.
There's no way for a man and a woman to be friends without there being something there. Um, Steve was like, he's there because, you put him in the friend zone and now he's waiting until something happens, you change your mind, this, that, and the other. And, I just wanted to have a brief conversation around the topic because, of course, we can go all day. We'll know most things of dealing with any type of relationship
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
Um, and it's crazy to me. And it's even crazy because, of course, he has an audience.
Right.
And
Exactly.
and I don't feel like the girl, just judging from her body language and stuff like that. I mean, she knew who she was asking,
Yeah.
and I feel like
Yeah.
she knew the type of response she
She
was gonna
probably
get.
worked there. That's probably one of the interns that
Oh
she
my
worked
gosh.
there.
Anyways, so
TV magic.
um, it's just, it's just, it was just something to see, and just from the beginning,
Yeah.
and I actually, and funny enough, when my friend was watching it, even before Steve started talking, I said, pause it for 1 second. I said, let me prepare myself for the stupidity that's about to come out of his mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just like, dang, dude, like, and I mean, and trust, there's a lot of people out there that don't think men and women can be just friends.
Mhm.
Because believe me, I've definitely in the past few years, I've dated some women that just, don't get it. And I can tell them everything. And it's funny, like some of the stuff I can share with them that, about my life and my past and even my present that totally trumps anything surrounding the conversation of like, have I ever been or am I involved with one of my female friends that, I'm not hiding them from you. You know what I mean? Um, they call and I'll answer in front of you, which I mean, I guess of course I can still be no good dude
Sure.
and still be doing that. But anyways, so and I mean, Trina, I know you how you feel about it, but for me, I feel like men and women can be friends. Like
For sure.
what? And it doesn't have to be like, oh well, oh they met and one was attracted to the other, but it wasn't reciprocated. So okay, boom, we're just friends.
Mhm.
Sometimes just meet good people. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. Like I had dinner. Oh, I did speak to one other friend about it. I spoke with my friend Jasmine about it when we went to dinner. And we were talking about it, and she was just like, people don't understand like how her and one of her friends could be just friends. And like it
Mhm.
had to have been something there.
Yeah.
And I see what they look like because they two attractive, successful folks. So of course they gotta be involved with each other.
Right.
Or if you're in, if you go to that person's house and like I go to Atlanta, Trina lives in Atlanta. I don't get a hotel. I stay at Trina's house. And a girl I dated last year was like, I just don't understand that. And like, so why don't y'all date? It has to be something. And I'm like, well, you know, I met Trina. She's been my friend since then. Never took out a checklist and said, okay, we can't date for this reason and this reason and this reason and this reason. You can just be friends with somebody opposite sex.
Mhm.
And hard people not believe that. And again, full transparency, I can't say that I never thought that because me and my insecurity definitely thought that if somebody I was dating was cool with a guy,
Mhm.
and it's like, oh well, he got to be trying something. It's got to be this. It's got to be that. But that's not true. Like
Yeah.
men and women can definitely just be platonic friends. Nothing there. And then even in the case of this woman that Steve was talking to, could it have been that this guy was a vulture and just waiting? Possible. Not saying it isn't. Could it be that they were friends and then somewhere along the line it shifted for whatever reason? Absolutely. But I think it's foolish for him to say, "Why you think we your friend?"
You look just like it when you said
Yeah,
that.
it's
I
like
mean, especially
it's
considering
just
you
a
got the
bald
bald
head,
head, you
whatever.
know.
It's like, why we think you your friend? And then and then one of my other one the other friend I talked to, not Jasmine, but the other friend I was talking to, she was like, that kind of make her feel like the value, like boom, like a man can't be my friend unless
Mhm.
there's some
Without being
ulterior motive, like.
Yeah.
And it's just that was something that was crazy to me, and that was one of the topics that I wrote down, and like
Yeah.
it's just but I mean definitely want to hear from you guys and what y'all think
Yeah.
on this, because I mean this is definitely something we could talk about for a long while.
Yeah.
And
But I
then
do want to.
Mhm.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll tell you. I finish. I'll do it when you finish. Go ahead.
Well, that's one thing you can do as a better to be a better friend.
It's what?
Just go ahead and say it. Okay. Uh huh.
No, I was just gonna. It's two things. One is related to what Steve said, and then the other is just like what you were saying about um, just like platonic friendships between male and female. Anyway, I think one of the big things it comes to is trust for sure. Do I see how it can be difficult
Hmm.
to trust that the person that you're dating or whatever isn't lying to you about your friendship with the opposite sex, which for me that's one thing that I think about and I actually consider with our friendship is when you are dating, like I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable
Hmm.
because I wouldn't want to feel uncomfortable if the roles were switched. So I try to be considerate of that and think about that and handle it the best way that we can, you know what I mean.
Hmm.
um as far as what Steve said, I think you and I are both big on word choice.
Yeah.
Like you're I think we do a good job of not trying to make general statements.
Yeah, I hate generalizing. Hmm.
Yeah, we do a lot of it seems as if, or you know what I'm saying, or
Hmm.
in my opinion, or what have you.
Yeah.
Or in a case like what Steve said, we could say that and then follow it up with, now this may not always be the case, but this is what I've seen from my experience.
Mm-hmm.
But and I think Steve is able to use word choice. You know, like I think he's capable of knowing that what he says can make a difference and how he says it make a
Mm-hmm.
difference, you know? Um so for him to not follow it up with this is not always the case. I think he did that for a reason. But also Steve just like to hear himself talk.
And
To
then,
be, I mean, and don't get me wrong, he does say some really good stuff. He
mhm.
does say some really good stuff sometimes. But he just likes to hear him. So he's one of those people that like to hear himself talk, I think.
And one thing I do want to say is that I recognize this, and this is all social media. So of course, if he came with some like really intelligent response and it's like, well, it's not always the case or whatever. Basically, if he was saying what we're saying, then probably would never saw that clip. So you
Mhm.
do you do have to think about that also.
I mean, we're gonna talk about Lori and Future. She gonna be. I'm not gonna say that.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. We just moving on. Let's go. But it's just one of those things. Sweep your doorstep before you
which
go
it, yeah,
sweep mine.
which it comes back to word choice
Mm-hmm.
because um like Steve often talks about um like he puts his kids up on a pedestal, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
difference between being proud of your kids and celebrating your kids, but there comes a problem when you're putting them up on a pedestal and
Mm-hmm.
acting as if they won't make mistakes. Like that's
Yeah.
when mistakes happen, and it's definitely noticeable to people. I know that for a fact. My dad's a pastor,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that when you are speaking highly of your kids, word choice is important. you know
Absolutely.
like
Mm-hmm.
everything, word choice is important, but especially with something like that because you can end up eating those words if you don't choose your words carefully.
Big facts.
I think it all comes down to word choice.
Yeah.
And Steve is a fool for saying that y'all are vultures. Some
It's
guys are.
just like
I
we
know
are
some.
circling. That was the biggest thing. That stuck with me. We're vultures and we're circling. We're circling. Just waiting. You could have said, you could have said we're wolves in sheep clothing. We waiting to pounce on. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, it makes
and
me think
don't get me
about
wrong,
those
it's
vultures
definitely
talking
some
to each
guys
other.
like that. But
Yeah, for sure.
I've never been one to do that. I mean, you put me in the friend zone like that. That's just where I am. I ain't nobody got time to be trying to fight through that. Like, you can only have somebody tell you no so many times. Like,
Sure.
to tell you over and over again, like, I don't want you like that.
Mhm.
So it's not even, force the issue. Like, I'm not here to really just like, this is not a, I mean, even in job interviews, uh, hey, if you got no interest in hiring me, let's just cut our losses. Let's just go. Like, there's no need of me even interviewing. You know what I mean? Same thing in relationships. Like, I'm not gonna be one to really try to fight through that wall of like, okay, this is what we are. Like, I don't know if ever trying to fight through that friend zone wall. Like, that's a serious wall. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Um, but yeah, well, okay. Well, that was my topic. That was my
Okay,
topic
so
on this week. Yeah.
I mean, I guess we can go with my other topic. Um, what did I say it was?
Yeah, I don't want to touch that topic right
You
now.
don't.
No, I need to. I think that's something I need to pray on.
You need to pray
It's
on
a
it.
very sensitive subject for real, though.
I
It's
get
very
it.
sensitive. But I mean, it's just I think, and to I don't know people like just so you don't have to rewind and see. You were speaking on the topic of being rewarded for being bullied.
Hmm.
Is that it?
Hmm.
Um, I think that's just that's a result of society we're in,
You want
and
to talk about it, or you don't want to talk about it?
yeah, because it's like I'm starting to talk about it.
Yeah, you are, and I know
Tell
once you
tell
get
me
started, it's
tell me
hard.
your tell me your thoughts on it.
No, if you don't want to talk, we're gonna
I
talk.
mean,
We ain't gonna
I'll
talk.
definitely I'll comment. I don't really have
Because I want you
comment.
to,
I don't
I
know
want
where
you
you.
to engage.
I mean, I'll engage. Go ahead.
See, now you got me second guessing if
I
I
mean,
want to
you
talk.
got to understand, bullying is a real thing. It's a very
Yeah,
sensitive subject.
right.
Unfortunately, kids are taking their lives behind bullying.
Hmm.
Um, I do think more kids recognize how serious it is.
Hmm.
Um, it's a real thing.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, go ahead.
So, um, I've seen over the news, and this doesn't even have to do with any particular. I've been thinking this for quite some time now,
Hmm.
but I've noticed that over the news, anytime there's a child that gets bullied, um, and it gets a lot of traction on social media, then we'll see like this child on TV, or there's a GoFundMe set up. They're
Hmm.
getting donations. They're going to events. You know,
Hmm.
all these type of things. Getting scholarships. All these different types of things.
Hmm.
Um, and so it really made me think like, are we rewarding people for being bullied? And then I also know that I know that it's to that people do it for a couple of reasons. I think one is to make that child feel better, and to just let them know that they are worthy,
Hmm.
that they are somebody,
Yeah.
and that they don't have to take their lives or whatever. Um, and I also think that some people do it to just show the bully, hey, like like you're just gonna give this person shine, or this
Hmm.
person's not gonna think about what you're saying or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do think that it can. I think that it has become a lot, and
Yeah.
it's mainly because of social media. Because I've seen things where like um, I actually saw this one thing where this little boy, he plays the drums. Y'all may have seen him, but it was like, and I don't even think this was a thing of bullying. This is just like um, how social media gives traction to stuff. But he got a scholarship for college already,
Hmm.
and it made me think like, y'all already gave him a scholarship. I'm sure y'all like set aside some requirements of things, but I don't know. To me, it's just crazy that we're so eager to reward people for all this different for the smallest thing just because of social media. Because it also brings the question of, are we teaching kids how to handle bullies and how to handle those situations? Because that's going to always come up in life.
Hmm.
And it also, um, dang, I forgot my other thought. What did I say?
Well, I mean, so I'll pick up here for a
Okay.
second. Maybe that thought will come back to you.
Yeah, whenever I think of that too.
So, um, I guess the biggest thing is like you would like it to be. I guess and I agree. Like it should be handled in a different way. Um, I mean, because yeah, bullying is terrible. Like, not for 1 second are we gonna you know discount that at all.
Hmm.
But being awarded like that, I don't know. I mean, does it really solve the problem of
Hmm.
bullying? Which I mean, of course, like if anybody's, you know, if anybody's deserving, it's typically somebody who's considered less than in society, and those kids feel less than because people are tearing them down on a daily sometimes. Um, and yeah, of course, I mean,
I remember what I was going to say.
I'm not saying that it's wrong to show these kids some love because they absolutely need that. Because
Yeah,
I never dealt with bullying. I just didn't come up in an environment like that. Um,
I bullied bullies.
all right then.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
did. That was,
I mean,
yeah.
and
I didn't like for people to be mean to. I
yeah,
was friends with everyone. I didn't like for
hmm
people to be mistreated,
yeah,
and I'm even like that in my friendships. If I feel like
yeah.
my friends are getting taken advantage
Oh
of,
yeah, you are, boy.
shh, I got you. Don't
Hmm.
I got you. So I was
Yeah.
like that growing up. I never liked to see people get bullied,
Hmm.
and I would bully the bully. Not saying that that was okay, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. And I mean, just to go back, I feel like it's those kids are deserving of some love, but is it going to solve the issue at hand? I don't think so. So of course, show those kids some love. I don't want anyone, I don't ever want to hear about anyone taking their life. Like suicide is a real thing.
Mhm.
Being suicidal is something I've dealt with personally. So, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. We never want to hear that, especially in our young people. But if we're going to be wanting those kids and showing them some love, those same folks, let's try to do whatever we can to snuff out the problem before it even begins.
Mhm.
And like most stuff, that starts at home.
Mhm.
Man, I'm a parent. I think I mentioned that in like the first episode. Um, if Ian, if I ever hear anything, either way, if I hear he's being bullied, or especially if I hear he's bullying someone, there's a
Mhm.
conversation to be had
Yeah.
because that's not okay.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, there was an incident. One time he had an incident with a kid at school. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I was talking to him, and I was talking to him because he listens, because he knows to listen when I'm
Mhm.
speaking. But as soon as I said the word bully, he couldn't be quiet no more because
Mhm.
he was just like, no, sir, I did not do that. I did not bully him. No, sir, I did not, like almost in tears because he understood the gravity of that.
Mhm.
Like everything changed, like because we know what bullying is.
Mhm.
Um, and that turned out to be like they were both wrong in the situation.
Yeah.
Like little people have issues too. They have
Yeah. Yeah.
confrontations too. Um, but you know, I think we as parents, we as a village, need to make sure that you know we're doing what we can to prevent these issues, because I feel like with most anything, with most people that are abusive, it's coming from a place of pain in a lot of
Mhm.
cases, in a
Yeah, for
place of
sure.
insecurity, and a place of not having control. So, that's where it comes from. So,
Yeah. And I actually just wrote a note down of something that my mom told us. I did say I bullied the bullies, but my mom also taught us that anytime that a person is behaving or misbehaving or behaving in a negative way, there's a reason why.
hmm
And she always told us to sometimes try and figure out why. Because
hmm
maybe we can be a help to that person.
yeah,
Sometimes, maybe not, but sometimes you may be able to.
yeah, and that goes back to just like you ask a friend, how can I support you?
Mhm.
Somebody's dealing with something like that, of course we're not, you and I aren't, mental health professionals, or, we've definitely dealt with our own things. And of course I picked up some tools over the years, but, you know, what thing you can do is just, like you said, try to figure out what's the root of the issue. What's
Mhm.
going on? Why do you
Mhm.
feel the way you feel? Um, and in those situations, if you are in a position, as a teacher, social worker, what have you, where you can, you know, dive deeper and maybe recommend that, that person or that child get some type of, help as far as, along the lines of therapy, counseling, things of that nature.
Yeah, but
Um,
also, even if you're not a health professional or a teacher,
mhm.
you can still help people.
Yeah, that's what I'm
There
saying.
are
You
ways
definitely
to help
can.
as well.
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm definitely, sometimes people just need you to ask them what's going on.
Mhm.
And you may be the first person to ever ask them the why.
Mhm.
Why do you do this? Um, and people, sometimes that wall just comes crumbling down just because you simply asked why, or what's going on, or, why do you feel the way you do? And is there a reason why you feel the need to do these things? So, um,
So the next part of my before we get too deep, the next part of the thing was it brings up a couple of more questions, and one of the questions is um, how do we feel about parents recording their kids? Like there was recently
mhm,
this little boy, I think he has Down syndrome, maybe, but he said that he wanted to die
mhm,
because he was getting picked on, and his
yeah,
mom was, recording him. And I've seen other videos of people, of
yeah,
parents recording their kids crying, and it's just like, are you really doing them good by recording this? Which
yeah.
brings me to the second thing, which is also when it comes to these situations, you will have people who are doing things falsely and making these videos to try and come up off of them.
Yeah. Um, and again, that's the nature of the society we're in, man. As far as social media comes into play, um, I would never. I would record in if he had a message to share about something. I'm not gonna record him in his most vulnerable state. I'm not definitely not gonna record me getting him together or whipping his butt or anything like that to embarrass him. I can't stand that mess, man. Like you got videos of parents going up to the school acting a fool, them whooping their promiscuous quote unquote daughters um, in the rooms and stuff like that. Like that right there makes me sick. Handle that in the household. There's no need of putting those kids on blast. You're hurting them more than you're helping them.
Yeah.
And I could really go in on that, but I don't
That's
even
what we
feel
should
like
have
getting
talked.
upset right now.
That just made me think we should have talked about that tweet I saw about someone being like they're gonna love their daughter so their daughter doesn't do foolish stuff. Some foolish shit.
That's definitely something we can speak on.
That's
Like,
what we
it's
should.
just, it,
That's what we should
I
have
think
talked.
we'll just have a ridiculousness. Not don't sue us ridiculousness, but we should have a ridiculousness like episode, like just talk about all the foolish things that we see in social media. Twitter has all the answers. You want to know how to raise your child, go to Twitter. You want to know how to handle almost anything in life, go to Twitter. Uh, and the thing is, like, of course, there's times where people are really helpful out there, and people are trying not only trying to help, but are doing it in a very constructive way.
Yeah.
But then you also have some stupidity out there, and that's what gets the traction because it's like, man, look at this stupid. Hello, look at this stupid here. Like
Yeah.
just, and that's something we discuss a lot. But we're not gonna give too much shine to it. But some of this stuff just has to be discussed because it's like, you know, because a lot of times sometimes when I see stuff like that, it's like, it's so foolish. You got to ask yourself, dang, did I get something wrong? Like if somebody truly feels this way, like I
Well,
need to
here's the
check
thing.
myself.
Well, here's the thing. Some of those things people really believe that.
Hmm.
They just need someone to tell them that that's not so. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
Like some people really believe stuff like that. Stuff like that. I was actually looking for it. It said I show my little girl so much love, she never looked for it, and you dog head a n words.
Go dog head again.
um, yeah,
Yeah, we discussed that. We discussed that.
yeah. And
And
and one of my friends posted that, and I actually told him it doesn't work like that. Like people
yeah,
think that it does, but no, it doesn't work that way.
definitely helps. But again, it's not an end all be all.
Yeah, we gotta talk about it right now because
Yeah,
it
because
get long.
yeah, and like I said previously, we can try to be concise. Keep y'all engaged.
This is I don't, friend. I don't like this structure right here. This is not.
Well,
This is too serious.
no, the topics were too serious.
Yeah, yeah,
The topics, I
yeah.
mean, but the
The top
topics
is
were
not the
serious.
structure.
The
Yeah,
topics were serious, and I
the
mean,
toxics.
sometimes the toxics were too serious, but I feel like, yeah, I mean, that's not something we'll always do.
We should end it on. We should end it. We should when we have serious topics. We should end it with a joke.
Okay, you got a joke?
No, I don't have one right now. I do. I do. I actually. I do have. I do have one. Okay.
All right, lighten it up. Lighten it
I.
up. Go ahead, and we'll end it there. Go ahead.
I don't know, friend.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
You know I have dark humor, but
Mm,
this one isn't so dark. This one isn't so dark.
mhm.
Hey, friend.
Yeah.
The creator of Hall's Cough Drops just passed.
Oh my gosh. There'll be no coughing at the funeral. I know. I know. I've seen it.
Can I finish it?
I've seen it. There'll be no
You
coughing at the
always. Why
funeral.
do you always do
Try.
that? Why you
Number
gotta
two.
always be the party pooper? I can never send you anything. You just be like, ha, I. Okay, listen. Let's talk about this right here. So, like, do your friends ever send you anything? Your friends ever send you anything and you've seen it already and you just laugh anyway?
I laugh sometimes if it's still funny.
I fake laugh. I fake laugh through social media because I'm just like
Ha ha ha.
I've seen it already, which my real life sounds fake sometimes, but I've seen it already. But I don't always want to be like, oh, I've seen that. You know what I mean? Like you do me. Oh, I see that already, Trina.
I
I see
seen it.
that. I see that.
But you know, I've seen it. I've seen it.
But yeah, I fake laugh sometimes just because like I don't want to be that person. Are you looking for a
Okay.
joke?
I was.
I
This is a
can
good
tell.
time.
First of all, I saw the glass. I mean, I saw when you open your phone and your glasses.
I was trying to find a joke to end it out. Anyways, I think that was it. Oh, just as a note, speaking of jokes, International Joke Day is July 1st, 2020. So yeah, that's
I'm coming
something
with
to
all
look
the
forward
jokes.
to.
I'm coming with all the jokes that day, friend.
You will be
What
blocked
day is that on?
on
We
July
do our
1st.
podcast come out on
That's
Monday.
on Wednesday. It's on a
Oh,
Wednesday.
that's
I
okay.
will
That's okay. We're
I
gonna
will
record that Wednesday, and I
I
got
will
all the jokes.
block you on that Wednesday.
I love jokes and riddles.
Hmm.
When I was working at one of my old jobs, I used to always just randomly ask riddles so much that my manager, she we would have a 5 minute huddle every morning, and she would ask me to give a riddle or a joke every morning, and I loved it.
You were comic relief. That's cool. Okay. Well, that was funny in itself, that whole exchange. So we lightened it up a little bit. So good deal. I think that's a great place to end it on. Um, so guys, thanks for tuning in. Um, I will have links to the things we discussed during this episode in the show notes. So make sure you check those out. Be sure to follow us on our social medias, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Dub Squared Pod on all of those. You can shoot us an email at dubsquaredpod@gmail.com or visit the site dubsquaredpodcast.com where you can find links to everywhere that podcasts are listened to. You can find links to those services. You can also find a link to listen to our podcast on the web. Um, Anything to add there, friend?
No, I think you hit all the high points.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. So thanks again for listening in. Be sure to send your feedback to us. Keep showing us love. We appreciate you all
Yes, we love getting that feedback.
for
It makes
sure.
us better,
Oh yeah,
bigger,
this is a feedback
stronger,
culture we're building around
faster.
here.
That
Hmm.
that 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 don't kills me.
All right, y'all.
It only
So
make me
y'all have a
stronger.
great day. Y'all take care.
And we're gonna go out on this note, friend. This is a song from me to you. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again.
Boom, people stop listening right there if they hadn't stopped already. All right, y'all have a good
Oh my
one.
gosh.
Take care.
Bye.